Those three countries have 80% of the tuberculosis cases in the world. And again, it's an advocacy program in those countries as well. So working within India, Kenya, and Indonesia with the civil society and other areas to push the policy in the right direction or find out what are the roadblocks in moving things forward in regards to tuberculosis. So,
standing in front of you, looking at this room, I don't feel like I've come to Toronto. It's almost like you're at home. Thank you for having us here, those of us that have come here for the International AIDS Conference, and thank you for organizing this evening. When I first heard about the Toronto Calcutta Foundation, I said, okay, this seems to be something that I can understand. Bengali is one of the first languages I learned because my name does not betray it, but I grew up in the East, just short of Calcutta. And one of the things that has kept me going, Kathy, when she introduced, she said that I work with something called the Global Health Advocates. The word advocate doesn't imply a legal background. It only implies a mindset. And the mindset that was formed very early on in life by something that Mahakavi wrote, which is Jodi Tor Dakshune Kirnai Ashe Abhekla Cholare. For those that didn't get it, it's just our first and only literature Nobel laureate, his famous song, which says, if nobody listens to your call, don't bother, just walk alone. Something that got imprinted in my mind, not simply because my neighbor used to play it on and on and on, but also because it made sense. And it makes sense even today. And that's what I want to bring to you. When you talk about tuberculosis, and those of us that are here who have roots back in India would understand what I'm trying to say. The image that comes to your mind is Rajesh Khanna in that wrapped around shawl, and he's like, oh my goodness. I forget the name of the 1974 movie, but that's a picture. Anand, that's right, of course. And he's like dead. He's standing there. It's pathetic. And that's the image that remains in our mind. And as Rajesh Khanna kind of faded away from the silver screen, so has that imagery of tuberculosis. It's no longer there in front of us. And so what do we have? We don't have tuberculosis. We've come to a point where people ask you, excuse me, is tuberculosis even a problem in the country? And I want to just put something in front of you. Raj Khanna has graduated from those days to being MP, and he's somebody else altogether. He's very, very healthy. He never suffered from tuberculosis either. But tuberculosis continues to be a reality in India. We're talking still about 1,000 people dying every day in the country. That's a lot of people. 1,000 people every day. In a day and age when you can treat it for less than $10, provided the person actually took it for the full 6 months. That's outrageous. First of all, that we don't recognize it's a problem in our midst. Second, that even if we recognize it, we don't actually make sure that people get the $10 worth of treatment, and that they don't follow through. That is something that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed by those of us that are back home. And it also needs to be addressed and bolstered by those of us that are outside. All of us are familiar with it. We have our difficulty in our pada. Right? Bangarito. Pada. We have to solve the Jamila. Sometimes it's not possible within ourselves. You get outside help. And that's what I'm trying to stand here and say to all of you folks. It has been doing a fairly substantial job. In fact, probably the best job in the world today in fighting tuberculosis. 8 years ago, we probably didn't have much of a program. We had a program since 1962, which is called the National Tuberculosis Control Program. But we revised it, and about 1998 we went to the road with a new and improved version of it. Today, no person is expected not to have access to treatment. That's a significant achievement as you think about tomorrow, when India celebrates begins the 60th year of independence. We established our health systems, etc. None of them delivered. And in the space of about 8 years or so, you have one program that's scaled up, and that treatment is supposed to be available at the level of 1 unit per 5,000 people or lesser. That's some work has been done. It has translated into the death rate falling from, say, somewhere around 1,300 per day to about 1,000 per day. Which means we are saving about 300 lives per day on a day in, day out basis. That's an achievement that we can pat ourselves on our back. But a lot more can be done and should be done. The effort is on within the country. Scientists like Dr. Swaminathan, whom you heard just now, are engaged in providing technical medical leadership. But it requires more than that. There's only so much that the science side can do. There's only so much that doctors can do. Doctors can only treat the patient that gets to them. There'll be a few that will go out and maybe try and treat them in the community. But by and large, when you're talking about something like tuberculosis, you need people to come to you. You need people who will look around and say, your cough doesn't sound too good. You've been coughing for more than 3 weeks. You've been losing weight. Jolly will get your sputum examined. That's the thing that we have been priding ourselves on, our sense of community. Look around you. Why would you call yourself the Toronto Calcutta Foundation? An identity for community. When you talk about community, it's also about supporting one another. It's also about fighting things together. That's something that's kind of missing. And it's not missing because the sense of community is not there. It's because the realization that there's a solution for that particular problem, and that's so easily available, that's missing. We need to get that message out. I was just looking at the slides that you put up right in the beginning about the TCF activities in and around Kolkata. Brilliant job. Kathy was here saying results doesn't do any projects. So what do you do as opposed to what they do? And here's something for you to consider. Could you multiply the impact of your work by just speaking out? Let's say